These are no longer isolated incidents. These are not unfortunate phrases uttered in a suburban homily. From Ireland to Argentina, from Canada to the heart of major international conferences, a pattern is emerging. And the latest appointments of Leo the 14th seem to fit exactly into that trajectory. On February 11th, 2026, in Dublin, during a homily at the Church of St. Paul of the Cross, Father Pat Fitzgerald spoke words that reverberated throughout the Catholic world. We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not the point. It's about sharing a meal. And, referring to receiving communion kneeling, he spoke of a gesture like being fed like animals. There's little need to add. When the Mass is no longer presented primarily as adoration and sacrifice, but as simple sharing, the shift in perspective is evident. The doctrine isn't formally denied, but the axis is shifted from vertical to horizontal, from adoration to conviviality. And while in Ireland, we hear words that downplay the sacred dimension, in Argentina, something else is happening. In the Archdiocese, led by Cardinal Angel Sixto Rossi, a case has been reported of an autistic girl who was allegedly denied communion because she was kneeling. Her mother asks for explanations. She receives none. The reports escalate. The silence remains. Meanwhile, Cardinal Rossi himself supported the creation of pastoral groups dedicated to so-called sexual diversity, participating in public events and declaring after the May conclave that Leo the 14th is a gift from God, the man the Church and the world need. He insisted the line is the same as Francis's. There's no backtracking. Any differences would be merely external. Here's the point. If the line is the same, then we need to ask what that line is. On February 11th, the same day as the Dublin Declarations, Leo XIV appointed Monseigneur Martin Laliberté, coadjutor bishop of Saint-Jean-Longueuil, Canada. Not a neutral name. In his 2023 pastoral letter, Hommage, Ensemble, he wrote that dreaming of a return to a golden age of the Church would be illusory. The institutional and structural dimension, he stated, is and will be called upon to change. This is not a tragedy, but a necessary step. The language is clear. Stability is not the supreme value. Continuity is not a dogma. The structure can and must transform. In May 2024, Laliberté himself had warned the faithful against participating in the masses of the Society of St. Pius X, stating that it would not have status and would not be in full communion. And this despite concessions already universally recognized in the sacramental sphere. The message conveyed is clear. Liturgical tradition is not the direction to look toward. But that's not all. In April 2025, speaking about liberation theology, Archbishop Laliberté declared that it would not be Marxism, but a way of interpreting the socio-political context. What is liberation theology if not looking at the reality of oppression, he said. He added that Jesus also liberated and put people back on their feet. One might observe that the Church has always spoken of charity and justice. But this isn't just about charity, it's about an interpretative paradigm. Faith interpreted primarily through social categories. In November 2025 in Belém, during the United Nations Climate Conference, dozens of cardinals and bishops signed a declaration calling for an ecological conversion. The Diocese of Trois-Rivières announced that Monseigneur Laliberté had not only signed, but was among the authors of the text. It spoke of the fight for the environment, the climate crisis, and the spirit of synodality discovered by walking together. It's not wrong to talk about the protection of creation, but when ecclesial language overlaps almost perfectly with that of international agendas, some questions are legitimate. And so, putting the pieces together, a picture emerges. They are distant facts, not coordinated with each other, but convergent. Leo the 14th, in his appointments, did not choose figures that balanced different sensibilities. He chose pastors who spoke a precise language, who don't hide their desire for change, who aren't afraid to declare the idea of a return to the forms of the past obsolete. And here, we touch the most delicate point. No one proclaims a formal break. No one abrogates a dogma. No one cancels the catechism. But the center of gravity shifts. The Mass is presented as a convivial assembly, the ecclesial structure as a fluid reality, mission as a socio-environmental commitment, tradition as nostalgia. Cardinal Rossi's words are illuminating. Leo the 14th is not a dinosaur. He doesn't want to go backwards. The image is powerful. Going backwards becomes synonymous with backwardness. Looking to tradition risks being labeled as fossilization. Yet for centuries, tradition has been the guarantee of the Church's vitality, not a burden, but a lifeblood. Today, many believers perceive a divide. On the one hand, those who demand doctrinal clarity and the centrality of worship. On the other, a language that insists on processes, paths, and structures undergoing transformation. When questions remain unanswered, the unease grows. Episcopal appointments are not neutral acts. They are signals. Each bishop embodies a vision of the Church. When the majority of new appointments converge on a certain profile, it's difficult to call them coincidental. Leo the 14th was hailed as a gift from God. It's a phrase the Church often uses. But every gift brings with it a responsibility. The responsibility to protect what has been received. The events of recent months suggest that the direction is not toward a return to the centrality of worship and doctrine, but toward further integration into an already established pastoral paradigm. The final question isn't polemical. It's simple. What kind of church is emerging? A church that adapts to the world to better communicate with it, or a church that risks resembling it too much? Today's appointments shape tomorrow's history. And what today appears to be a series of incidents could reveal itself years later as the moment when the center of gravity shifted definitively. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.